G'day Internet, CJ with you again. Bit of a weird one tonight, something a bit different. It's going to be a one-take ramble. I'll try and stay on topic. So I'm lying in bed, watching a YouTube video, as you do, to fall asleep, whatever, as you're rounding out your day. And you hear the commentator say something like, so before the war in Ukraine started, Russia had 20 million shells or 80 million shells or something in stockpile, and they fired off this many, about half of them or something like that according to calculations, and yet Russian troops and sources are saying that they're experiencing a massive shell shortage. And this begs the question, where have all those shells gone? Now, it doesn't beg the question, it raises the question. I have a big love of language, the English language specifically. It's my native tongue. And this is one of those funny phrases that originally had a specific meaning, and over time it's been kind of misused so frequently that now it has an alternative meaning, which is the same as raises the question, which is the actual correct phrasing to get that idea across, right? This thing happened, so that begs the question. No, it doesn't. It raises the question, why has that occurred? Okay, so I'm going to tell you where the original correct form of begs the question should be used. Where this comes from is it's actually a informal logical fallacy that occurs, when people are discussing things in verbally or in text. It's one of a number of informal fallacies that people make when arguing different points, or discussing different things, right? So where this came about, or what the original meaning was what's the best way to phrase this? To beg the question is to make an argument that rests on an unasked question that hasn't been satisfactorily answered. So what's a good example here? So if I were to say, climate change is a myth, and I know this because I watched a PragerU video that told me that was the case. This begs the question, what qualifications do the people who made that PragerU video have to make that statement? See what I mean? So, climate change is a myth. It doesn't exist. How do you know? Oh, because I watched this video that told me that was true. The obvious question that a rational, logical person would ask immediately is, but how do you know that what you were told is the truth, right? So that argument that's being made there is begging the question. That's the original meaning. That's kind of what it. But the difficulty arises because there's so many cases where the usage kind of gets blurred, right? So say somebody says, this person on Twitter has accused somebody else of doing something, and this begs the question, how do they know that person did that, right? So that's a bit of a tricky case, right? Technically, I'd probably go with no, that just raises the question that, how do they know that, right? But the argument could be made that, they're putting forth an argument that begs the question, how do you know that? So over time, basically, you can see how the usage got a little bit mixed up, and most people now use the phrase begs the question interchangeably with raises the question, where it's not actually a logical fallacy that's occurring. Somebody isn't actually making an argument predicated on a question that hasn't been asked or answered. They've just said something that makes you immediately go, well, that raises the question, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? As the next logical step in the discussion. So there you go. That's just been on my mind. It's something, I wasn't calling out anyone in particular here. It's something that is so common. You hear it so often, And as somebody who is interested in these kind of logical fallacies and informal fallacies and likes looking up the origins of them, it's something that always kind of sticks in my craw a little bit. It's one of those little personal bugbears. It's like, no, it doesn't beg the question. It raises the question. You're right there, but nobody's making an argument that begs you to ask a question that needs to be answered before the argument or the discussion can continue, right? So that's what begs the question is actually all about. Anyway, there you go. A little bit of pillow talk for you. Happy New Year. Cheers.